Do you ever think about how things could be different? Imagine a society made up of free individuals, making conscious, informed decisions, peacefully cooperating and organizing for mutual benefit, empowered by a culture that inspires action, focused on solutions, looking to the future, while not forgetting the past. Think about it. We're convinced that, with the right tools, this is possible. Project Deimos, co-creating an empowering platform. The Deimos community is proud to present Project Deimos. Project Deimos, Deimos meaning people, is about freedom and empowerment through technology. We know there's a much more efficient way to communicate, organize, and co-create on a worldwide basis, and therefore believe the time has come to update societal organization to contemporary possibilities. The Deimos community works to create an all-encompassing, transparent, and user-friendly platform for efficient communication, cooperation, and co-creation. We strive to empower people to be able to contribute peacefully and proactively to societal transformation in the comfort of a safe online environment with the look and feel of a game. The Deimos platform combines communication and social networking, problem solution management and co-creation, grassroots organization, which is natural and spontaneous bottom-up organization, upward control, which is the influence an individual has on public discourse, engagement characters, delegation, and economics into one single interface, which revolves around three main elements: Deimos, meaning people, the Agora, meaning central spot or gathering place, and the Arena, meaning open theater. In addition to familiar social network functionality, the Deimos platform will improve the way people handle and share information, cooperate and act, by facilitating a solution-oriented environment focused on researching topics and possibilities, identifying problems, generating and implementing solutions, and finding a common ground. Make it easy for people to organize their community, manage their business, and set up grassroots initiatives by providing them with a structured working space to start and manage projects. Enhance the individual position and collective influence by enabling people to delegate their support to others, thereby creating a network of expertise and influence, and track and reflect on public delegates and discourse, state office holders and finance in real time. Accommodate exchange of property and services in a decentralized market with integrated cryptocurrency in an effort to stimulate local economy. Offer an overview of all public interaction on local aggregate pages and the total aggregate front page, which serve as customizable newspapers or magazines and can be filtered according to personal parameters and presets to give a unique insight into human action. In order to safeguard success and sustainability, to guarantee transparency and privacy, the platform will be built on an open source, encrypted and decentralized framework. This means that the system will not require a central authority, server, or service to remain operational. We sincerely invite everyone to join the Deimos community and are looking to strengthen our team with dedicated enthusiasts. You can contribute to the project by creating an account on our website, sharing and reflecting on ideas on the integrated forum and social network, and keeping track of our blog and social media. We're working in our free time on a minimal budget, so any and all contributions to make the project a success are greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network on theseedsofliberty.com and theconsciousresistance.com. So peaceful anarchism is covered by the BIPCOT No Government License. This allows for reuse by anyone other than government and the agents thereof. You can find out more at bipcot.org. So today we have Roman Van Ree, who's coming in from Amsterdam. He's a voluntarist, anarchist, agorist, and co-founder of Project Demos and Statism Exposed. And also he's working on another project called Herein, which is a hardware system that's linked to Project Demos with self-sustainability, in part by using aquaponics and also other forms of sustainable methods. And you can find out more about that, more about Project Demos on projectdemos.net. And on Facebook, you can find him. His personal profile is Roman Van Ree, and his Facebook pages are Project Demos. And he's also an admin on the Voluntary Virtues Network, and also his very new page, Agorist Singularity. So we're going to discuss a little bit about his history of how he came to voluntarism, and also he used to work in We Are Change, the Amsterdam branch of that. And also, we'll talk about his Project Demos, what's that all about, Statism Exposed, Herein, and this interesting new creation, Agorist Singularity. So as you can see, he's just been sitting on his butt doing nothing, being unproductive and lazy. One of those. So, Roman, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, I've seen you a lot on Voluntary Virtue Network posting. I'm like, who is this guy, you know? and he turned out to be a really cool guy, and as most volunteers are. And you're into a lot of cool stuff that I think people should know about. So before we get into all that cool stuff, can you go into a little bit about your history of how you came to this philosophy of voluntarism, and what books and personalities influenced you?
Sure. I think from an early age, my family was already very, very much freedom oriented. My grandfather was a psychiatrist who did research with LSD in like the 70s, give or take. So quite controversial figure. My cousin inspired me greatly. He's an anarchist as well, although more of the anti-capitalist persuasion. I mean, when we get down to the semantics of it all, I think we're quite aligned. I mean, it's just, you get the point. Yeah, capitalism means one thing to one person and another thing to another, unfortunately. But yeah, I think one of the main, the biggest moments growing up was when he was arrested and he refused to cooperate, and that I think because he kept silent and he refused to identify himself, they locked him up. They held him for like a month or two or something like that. And that really, that was really something that was, that stuck with me. Moving on from there, I had a couple of run-ins, multiple run-ins with the law, quote unquote, that also strengthened this anti-authoritarian feeling that I had in school as well before that. And then eventually I ran into Luke Radowski's work, We Are Change, as you mentioned it. And just from there, just did some video work, ran into or bumped into Adam Kokesh on the internet. And that's really where I was introduced to voluntarism and agorism and economics. I think another key turning point was where Adam Kokesh, I think he mentioned one of Rothbard's quotes, where Rothbard goes on, what does he say again? It's not a crime to be ignorant of economics. Well, you're all familiar with this quote.
It's no crime to be ignorant of economics, but to have a loud and vociferous opinion while remaining in that state of ignorance is unforgivable, something like that.
Something like that, indeed. And that was really the moment where I was, okay, I have a loud and vociferous opinion on the topic, but I never read any economics books, so that's where I dove into all the theoretical stuff, and now we're here. Yeah.
So what kinds of books? Can you mention some names of some of the books that really influence you?
Yeah. Although I think most of it only strengthened my,
So you already had these ideas in place, and it just like
indeed
reinforced them.
I think the most essential one was human action,
Okay.
which took me quite some time to work my way through.
That's the huge like Bible type book, right?
Yeah, the 900
Wow.
page von Mises. Yeah.
Started with that one? Oh my god.
Oh no, that was not the first one. No,
okay.
I think the first one was Economics in One Lesson.
Nice, good one.
Which was also a very good in terms of praxeology. That was also an eye opener.
Mm-hmm.
But human action took that a lot further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And along the way, some Ayn Rand, some of course Marie Rothbard, Larkin Rose. Although Larkin Rose is less theoretically economic, I think. I don't know. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, his book is more, I guess, specifically about the belief in authority, and statism in general. But yeah, the economics books, Economics One Lesson was great, and The Law by Frederick Bastiat was pretty cool. Anatomy of I read a bunch of Rothbard's Anatomy of the State. What has government done to our money? The case for the 100% gold dollar. And then some of Walter Block, his Defending the Undefendables.
You read that?
Have you heard about that one?
Yeah, I have it on my phone.
Yeah, I got through like half of it. I should finish it, but it's just funny. I love that book because it's so. How do you say this? He just doesn't care that he's defending all of these scorned and maligned groups of people, like prostitutes, like slumlords, like pimps, like what do you call it, scalpers, what
is that?
Scalpers is like people, or scappers, or I mean, it's like people who buy tickets to, like, let's say a big concert, and they buy it way in advance so that the price is low, and then they wait until the time, right before the concert, and then they raise the price, and then they make a lot of money. So people hate them, of course.
Wow. Yeah, I guess supply and demand, right?
Yeah, they're taking advantage of supply and demand, basically. Like people want to go, so they're just smart. That's it. I guess you could say agorists. So like they see an opportunity and they just take it.
I guess. But although I can see, like, on an emotional level why people would, judge that as a dick move. But,
I know.
Yeah.
But you know what they see is, like, if they see that this particular band or singer is popular, and they're like, you know what, I can make some money here, why not? For me, it's like that's for me, that's kind of what agorism is like seeing opportunities to make money, and I mean especially, of course, outside of state influence, right? That's also how I describe agorism to people, is like, raising your kids outside of the state, conducting your business outside of the state, living your life outside of the state, basically.
Black markets.
Trading outside of the state, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my view of it. I mean, what do you think about that with agorism? How would you define it?
Yeah, I would even go further than that. I think a very important part is also the technological side of it, and to try and find really solutions that contribute to making that easier, like the working outside of the state part of agorism. So, because, for example, in a world without blockchain technology, without Bitcoin, it was harder to deal with other people without circumventing the state, not without circumventing, but circumventing the state.
Yeah.
That made it a lot easier
to
avoid taxation and all that. So I think if we apply those or that, those ideas to.
Oh, Bitcoin, really changed everything. I mean, it's like the difference between like snail mail and email. It's just funny. I learned about Bitcoin from Stefan Molyneux, and I saw a bunch of his videos. and it really made sense to me. It was a pretty cool idea. And it's not, for me, it's not even just about Bitcoin. It's about whatever the market decides, right? And it's about cryptocurrency in general. I mean, Bitcoin for now basically seems like the most dominant, but maybe in a few years it won't be. Maybe there's going to be something better, and the market's going to be attracted to that, right? Because entrepreneurs, the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is that entrepreneurs are not forced to use it, right? They are they want to use it because it's so cool, it's so attractive, it's so efficient, and why are you gonna transact with people where the state takes a cut, or some other third party takes a cut, when you can just like go direct? Right?
Although I do have to say, I don't want to discourage any of your viewers. I say go for it, of course, but be careful, because of course with this freedom also comes responsibility, and I felt that I had to experience that myself. I lost over 5,500 euros in crypto on CRYPSA, which is really shitty. They just up and disappeared. Just
on CRYPSA?
CRYPSA, yeah. And I just read this article. It was an exchange, but it went to shit.
Is that on the darknet? Or is that?
No, it was just the website.
Wow.
CRYPSA.com. And I just read this worrying article. I don't want to spread I don't say this. I don't want to panic any of your viewers who exchange there. And I just read this one article. So if you're on this exchange, go research it before you panic, if you hear me say this. But Poloniex, I think, is the name. Mm-hmm. They were also running into some troubles, and I don't know. It's still a fresh or a young market. It's developing thing that needs to.
I've interviewed quite a few Bitcoin experts, and the way they describe that, like Mount Gox, for example, right? And the Silk Road, and that I never heard of that one, but the way they say it is like, if you have your money, let's say you have your currency in a bank, and then the bank gets robbed, and they steal your money, do you blame your currency, or do you blame the bank for not having sufficient security, right? So basically what they say is, it's not the fault of Bitcoin that this stuff happens. It's really it's leaving it in a place that's insecure, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not criticizing crypto. Of course.
I think it's important to point that out for people, viewers who are confused about that.
Yeah, it's the exchanges that are still
right.
That whole. I'm not so sure if that doesn't develop quickly. It's not. A lot of people are still better off putting their money in a bank, unfortunately.
Well, as opposed to like those exchanges, which I assume those people can leave their Bitcoin on the website at the exchange, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of doing that, I've heard it recommended that you store your Bitcoin on your personal device or on your personal computer, so it's local, so it's not on some website somewhere, right?
That's an option, of course, but still, I mean, if you look at, for example, credit card fraud. If I wake up tomorrow and there's like 5,000 euros missing from my credit card, and someone across the world used it because they got to my information, I can just call Visa or MasterCard and ask them, or tell them like this: I didn't spend this. Give me back my money. They're insured.
Right.
There's an upside. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not supporting those organizations, but I'm just saying there's some improvement still that has to be.
That security is not there yet, and it's an infant technology. It's still developing, but I think in so many ways it's just awesome. Like I remember somebody made a meme comparing the cost that it takes to send money, across the ocean through Western Union, right? As compared to Bitcoin. And Western Union, besides all the paperwork, it's like, I don't know, 5% or 10%, right? And then Bitcoin is like a fraction of a percent or something like that.
Yeah, and on big transactions, yeah, it's crazy.
So,
but still, I think ultimately, and this is why I think the focus on self-sustainability ultimately is more important, because I can't eat money. You know, I can't drink money. I can't live on money alone. There need to be resources.
Right.
And you know, those resources, the money needs to be consciously invested in solutions that really work to free people from work. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against work, I have nothing against money, but I think in a world where people don't have to work to survive, that would be very beneficial to freedom in general, I think.
Yeah. I think when you say that, a lot of people might interpret that as being like, you know, you're a supporter of the the Zeitgeist Venus project, you know, where machines control everything, and we human beings don't have to do anything, and machines can decide, you know, how much beans you eat in the morning and what types of shoes you should wear, and robot communism and all that stuff.
I gotta. This is worth mentioning, though. I was greatly influenced by the Venus Project, Jacques Fresco and his work, but I don't necessarily think that their ideas need to be enforced. I think a lot of their, of course, the economics, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I understand that now, but their vision, their ideals of trying to, let me put it this way, you can strive for their ideals in a top-down manner and a grassroots manner, and I think approaching that from a bottom-up grassroots way is really good.
Did you see all three movies, the Zeitgeist movies?
I think I did, but it's a long time ago. It's like years.
Yeah, I probably saw them probably like 5 years ago, something like that, 6 years ago maybe. And I did gain some insight from them, like learning about the creation of money, the creation of currency, Federal Reserve, central banking, corruption of politics, and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it generally has a sort of communist or socialist type flavor to it. But like they criticized the drug war, they had on Dr. Gabor Mate, and so they really had a lot of awesome information. So I give them credit for that, for educating people about those things in a very engaging way. But then when they come across the solutions, it's kind of difficult to swallow now. Like at that time, I'm like, all right, it makes sense. Before I studied actually economics, like you said. It makes sense, but then once you do study, you're like, wait a minute, what about the calculation problem? How are these robots going to know?
Get rid of money, get rid of markets, whatever the fuck that may mean. Pardon my my French, but
So it's a good stepping stone. Unfortunately, some people stay there, but and they're interesting to talk to, those kinds of people, But yeah, you're right. I mean, if there are communities that develop like that, maybe stateless societies that develop like that, I don't know, somehow with machines controlling everything, and if they can make that work, go ahead. Sure, that sounds fine. But I'm not afraid of machines like. People have this idea that machines are stealing our jobs. So you got the Zeitgeisters that are like machines should do everything, and then you got the Luddite fallacy people. They're like, destroy all technology. Technology is stealing my jobs.
Yeah,
it's the robots' fault.
But it's not all nonsense, though. And yet again, don't get me wrong, but I'm with you. We need to embrace this technological innovation and these developments. But at the same time, if we don't also if we don't invest our resources in the right. Yeah, right. I'm not telling people what to do, but what I think is right, the right technology,
Right.
like focused on self-sustainability. I think there's a chance that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be dependent on welfare type structures and,
Right.
handouts. There's one of the things that bugs me a lot lately when I see very smart people, generally smart people who are really, like developers, for example. A lot of people in the tech community are pro basic income that I also used to support at some point.
Right.
Like let's just forget about don't.
Hey, we all have our sins that we can confess to. I voted for Obama in 2008. All right, so we all got our sins.
Yeah, you all gotta, yeah.
I used to advocate. I used to think banning GMOs would be a good thing. So there you go.
Don't make mistakes. As long as we acknowledge them and learn from them and move on, it should be good. Yeah. But then I think that's a very scary trend that you see. That all these very smart intellectual people that they all support, or a vast majority of them, it seems to me, support this idea of basic income because they simply don't see that there's another way to deal with this problem that I really think does exist.
Right.
Up to a certain level, at least.
Well, I could say a lot about the basic income, but I want you to tell the listeners about your project. So Project Demo, so start off with that, and then we'll move on to the other ones. Okay,
so we can tie this in with what we're talking about just now, of course. So I think to be able to live outside of the state and do so effectively, there's some things that need to be taken care of. If you look at what the government is, or at least in the minds of the average person, people, as what it is perceived, it's an institution that is responsible, yet again, supposedly, for societal organization, right? It takes on the roles of really organizing society, the tasks. And to be able to do so effectively, we need, because we're living with so many people crammed together, we need some technology to organize, to really facilitate that. So I sat down with a friend of mine, Stan Fortas, who is the co-founder of this project, Project Demos. And we got to work on a concept for a platform that would facilitate this, that would fill this gap, or how do you say that? Bridge this gap. So to get into the specifics, we developed a new chat, an innovative chat structure that really doesn't exist right now. It's really new. At least we haven't come across anything that even looks like it. What we did was analyze basic structure of discussion or a conversation, purposeful discussion or conversation, especially in terms of resource management. And we came to the conclusion that every conversation really starts out with either a question or a statement or a combination of those. So in our chat that we call a quest, you start out with a question or a statement, and that you can support with arguments, rebuttals, solutions, sources, etc. And every component of this initial statement or question can be highlighted. So you type up a question or statement, and then you type out the arguments, and then you highlight those, and then you click the corresponding buttons that really, and that way you really structure the text. And when you launch the quest, instead of having just one window or one area that you where the thread, the conversation takes place, every separate component, every different component is grouped and categorized and displayed in different windows around the central chat. So you still have the main thing, but then all the different components are grouped around that. So you have one window that displays all the solutions or the answers to the questions. You have one window that displays all the arguments, all the rebuttals, all the sources, etc. And they all reflect on the initial statement or question. And what you're left with then eventually is either more questions to research or solutions to implement, solutions to problems to implement. And you can then link those to a task manager and use the social network type structure of the platform to invite people to join your team to either do the research or implement these solutions. One of the, I think, essential features of this platform would be the delegative part. So imagine, oh no, not imagine. Let me. If you look at government right now, supposedly the idea is that you delegate your right or whatever to a representative, right? They represent you. Mm-hmm. We try to mimic that in our platform. So, but instead of course, having a very instead of bringing in that coercive element, we focused on the peaceful side.
You're saying there's no guns involved in this? What's wrong with that? What's the fun in that? Okay.
We really try to, like, the essential thing. So look at it as, for example, the example that I give often is my dad is a researcher in the medical industry, or medical, how do you say that? Medical world. Mm-hmm. He's a professor. I trust him, you know. I could delegate my support to him in terms of health issues. He could do the same for people that he knows and trusts, and so on and so forth. And this way, if you do that per topic, you're left with this structure of this network of expertise and influence, and it's built on trust. At least, of course, it's just a tool, so people still need to use it properly. Mm-hmm. But there's a potential there that you can then also use that for the projects that you set up. So maybe, to give an example that is discussed a lot in these situations, the roads. Let's be honest, it's something, funnily, I don't know how, but it's still something that people don't understand, how to build a road.
It's a complex technological marvel, Roman. You have no idea.
Flat surface.
It's a flat surface, Roman. Come on.
So, imagine if I have a community and I want to build a road there, but I have no idea how to do that, and I know nobody in the community knows anybody who does construction. I can just go on this platform and just look for people in construction, and there you have the whole, like, pyramid of people at the top, the most skilled and the most trusted people in construction, and the more you go down, the less support they have behind them that backs them in their expertise. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then, of course, the whole thing needs to be tied together by a market. Mm-hmm. So you need to be able to sell and buy products and services. And on top of that, to make it all transparent and to make the data accessible, we thought up the idea of what we call the polis, POLIS, which is which we call a body of people. So every city or village or community could be a polis, and on this polis there's a summary of all the activities and all the quests and all the sales, all the market activity, all the projects, the delegates, but also, and I think this is a very essential part as well, an upward control mirror. The upward control mirror is where we still offer, I might be hated for this, but space for the government to offer transparency to their people.
Wow.
The idea is, imagine if you allow people to subscribe. For example, I live in Amsterdam. Imagine if I could subscribe to the Polis of Amsterdam, and then in my upward control mirror, I see what government spends its money on in real time. So we want to try and get local governments to use our system to manage their resources, so that at the moment some politicians okays some subsidy, or some bureaucrat spends money on new printers or new computers, or like $600 bottles of whiskey or wine or whatever, you get a notification. Imagine what that would do to people's perception of these crooks.
Right.
And I think it's a win-win. If you just propose this and you build this, either they take it, they have to use it, and if they don't, the public will know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them, like, I got this perfectly fine system right here.
Mm-hmm.
You can use to show the people what you're doing, and you don't want to do that. So you expect us to trust you?
Well, of course they're going to say, well, Roman, you're being naive now. This is national security is at stake. We can't have everything that we do be transparent. You little peons can't be knowing what we're doing behind closed doors. It's for your own good.
I think if you just play on people's emotions there, one thing I used to say a lot was, you force me to pay for things, and I'm not even allowed to know what for.
Right.
So
exactly.
I demand that at the very least you show me what you spend my money on.
Yeah.
At the very least. And I think a lot of people can agree on this. And if you market this idea properly,
mm-hmm.
I think it could do a lot good and a lot of damage to statism. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great idea. There's a saying that one of the best things you can do to bad ideas is expose them to the light, right? You never want to suppress bad ideas, because that's just gonna generate resistance and bad energy. So you just let it out. The internet is so wonderful in that this free flow of ideas. The bad idea, sure, there's going to be bad ideas, but they're quickly going to be discovered, and to be inefficient or evil or damaging in some way. So the best thing that you can do, like you said, is for wickedness is just to make it transparent.
Yeah. And of course, in terms of effect, how do you say that?
Effectiveness?
Effectiveness, no, efficiency.
Efficiency. Right.
I think this is also very powerful. Instead of having people do research over and over again
mm-hmm.
for the same problems, there's a lot of places in the world and they encounter similar problems. And instead of having people doing the research over and over again, you can now just take an effective solution that someone developed, an effective project that someone set up, and just copy it. So I can be in Amsterdam and I want to build the road yet again. And instead of maybe someone in Berlin or in the US, whatever, anywhere, instead of them having to go through that process again, so like, how do I build a road? I just look for the road and projects, and then there's a project that's used a lot, and you just copy it, get the people to build it, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the idea. So basically, it's like Facebook enhanced. Would you say?
Indeed.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Although people indeed they said, yo, so it's like a social network, but I think social network misses it's not, it doesn't describe it. It's not enough. I think it goes beyond social networking. I coined the term sovereignment way back when I was starting into this. So instead of having government, it's sovereign.
Ah, okay, cool.
That was the idea of things. So imagine entrepreneurs or ideologists could get detailed feedback on ideas or the products and the services that they deliver. They could crowdsource information and expertise. Business owners and employers and employees, they can make use of this, of course, in a peer-to-peer way, circumventing government. They can act on reputation capital, which is something that I haven't mentioned before, but I think is also very helpful. The system would track the things that you do, and depending on whether you do them publicly or not, they are added to your character capital. So imagine in a role-playing game, the things you do, they build up your character, right? So you gain experience points. And instead of having some fictional game, this refers to actual things that you did in real life. So successful projects that you implemented that got a lot of support, you can see those in your reputation capital, your profile. If you're a very good debater, or you come up with a lot of good solutions, or you can all add that to your character capital. So employers and business owners can make use of that. Students and scientists and journalists can use this system to do research, of course, open source, journalism, open source science. But students can also then open source their processes. Right now, it's really hard to see if students plagiarize their work. If you can just pull something off the internet,
right?
Just modify it a little, and hand it in.
Right.
And now you can, maybe with your work group, you're working with like 5 other students on a project, you can just show your entire process that you went through with our quest. So you can go through the research questions that you set up and the discussions that you had and all that structured. Media outlets can also, of course, make use of this. I guess.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that idea of the character capital, like the reputation. That's, to me, that's one of the greatest things that keeps, businesses in check in the free market. Without appealing to the state. Like, what else will get a business or help the business to become more successful is reputation, right? And capital. That kind of character capital is that. And that's the best ways that so many free market, programs or businesses function, like eBay, like Amazon, like Uber, all these different, hubs or exchanges or businesses. They function on that ratings and reviews and stars and, reputation. It's so important, and it helps to weed out the good as well as the bad people, right? Yeah,
definitely.
So it's important to know both, So please also go into your Statism Exposed and what that's about.
Can we first maybe get to the self-sufficiency?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Thing? Would you mind?
No problem. Go ahead.
Because I think it ties in with the project demos, with the demos platform.
Definitely.
Because ultimately, I think all the things that I mentioned are very interesting. Maybe, I don't know. I would say the potential is very interesting, but
Don't you feel so alone? Don't you feel so alone? It's like you're in a room with people like, this is interesting stuff. Is anybody in here interested in this? Is it just me?
Yeah.
Am I the only one?
Come on. Yeah. Yeah, it's catching on though. There's more and more initiatives that are headed in this direction. So sooner or later, one of these initiatives is just going to take off, and it's yeah. But I think the most interesting part here is if we focus this technology on self-sufficiency and self-governance. So creating communities that function entirely outside of the state and statist institutions and companies that are really linked to that system. So if you then imagine hardware as the other side of this coin, like this was all software that I was talking about, and then we move on to hardware, so the self-sufficiency, integrate aquaponic systems, automate them as much as possible. You create a decentralized, distributed network of water collection and purification systems, electricity generators and batteries, and all of that, and you put it all together. I think that would create a very, very powerful, empowering tool or toolbox for freedom-loving individuals to really exit statism. Yeah.
I mean, I support all that kind of stuff, right? The the sustainability and growing your own farm and growing your own food, as much as possible, and solar power, wind power, and all that. But the thing to me is, if like right now, solar power and wind power, they're at a point where the technology is not good enough for it to be economically efficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it requires subsidies, and it requires people or the businesses to appeal to the state so that people can actually afford those products, and that to me is the problem, and especially like Bernie Sanders, people like Bernie Sanders who say that they support all these stuff and that the government should come in and subsidize it because this is why we need the government, is because these businesses are we need to get more solar power and wind power, so the government should be there to subsidize it and help it. And so I think people get kind of confused with that because it's like, if you need to steal money from other people to fund your business, then perhaps your business model is not such a good or efficient business model to begin with, right? So
I don't think it even deserves that title.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
so I mean, I support all that stuff, but for me right now, the reality is it's not there yet. And maybe on an individual level, like you can afford it and you can work on it for your own house, but yeah, just like let's say in the early, right before the 20th century, oil wasn't such a big business because the technology just wasn't there to access it, right? All the oil was there, but the technology wasn't there. So it doesn't matter how much money you steal, doesn't matter how much you subsidize, it's not going to change the fact that the technology is there, right? So I think, and the technology is developing, though. I think it is getting better and better. It's becoming more efficient, but
and cheaper every day.
And cheaper. And so, but I think we have to help people divorce themselves of this idea that government needs to be there to help certain businesses because they can't do it on their own. Yeah,
without a doubt, definitely. I think it's doable, though. I think I was talking to this journalist a while back at an event here in Amsterdam, and he introduced to me this article. I believe it was called, what was it? I don't remember. I don't recall. But anyway, the idea was that you use really capitalism to create ideals that would generally be associated with communism, so equality and all of that, um, I think there's a point there though. If you imagine if you this is what we're working on in another project in Holon. Imagine if you develop an automated aquaponics system that is modular, that is easy, plug and play, accessible to people. It's cheap, 3D printable parts. Make it as accessible as possible. Make it open source so that people can adapt and update it. But there's still a market there. You can still sell it. There's still, and there's so much that comes with that, education. There's resources that need to be sold and yeah.
And this is no, I was gonna say this is why I appreciate the wealthy people, because like when cell phones first came out, they were prohibitively expensive, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason, or one of the big reasons, why the price was pushed way down was because wealthy people wanted to get a hold of this awesome new technology, and so the more that they bought it, the more capital those businessmen had to further develop and create new models that were more efficient and cheaper, right?
Yeah.
So if you can, I mean, I think it seems like you are one of those people that's going to innovate in this field, which is awesome. And if you can find a market for these products and sell them, then that's going to encourage and accelerate the process of making them more economically efficient for other people to buy. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. Although I think in this area, efficiency is not the main focus. I think we need people come to me and they say, you know what, this idea that you have with this self-sustainability, it's silly because it's way more efficient to have one big farm that produces all the food and one store that you buy your stuff at and one big nuclear plant that creates your energy, to produce your energy. Yeah, that's all true. That's all nice, but if it burns down or if it's flooded, or if the government decides that you can't have any anymore, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And we need to distribute all of that.
Sure.
I think the decentralization of society is an essential part of this the freedom.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just the fact that we have certain areas that we consider public utilities that must be state-owned is a big problem, right? So if there was no state that controlled these sectors, then there would be many private water companies and many private, electricity providing companies, and many energy companies. And I think that would be a much better world, but we don't really have that today, and it's hard to imagine what it would be like if we did. But I think again, just going back to statism in general, that's just a it's just a symptom of statism, right? That's why you and I are doing what we do, and why you're doing with the Statism Exposed and spreading the Larkin Rose book, right? So
yeah. Shall I get on to that?
Yeah, definitely.
Just, discuss that a little. I haven't really formulated summarized it. We're still working on the concept, and we are working on the website though, so that's happening. But the description that would be put on the website is not finished. But I'm going to try to explain it as coherently as possible. So I thought there are these books such as The Most Dangerous Superstition, but I think Adam Kokesh's Freedom also is also very effective and concise, simple. And I mean that as it's positive, right? Yeah. Simple. It's easy to read and easy to understand. It's not complicated economic jargon and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, how do we get these ideas to as many people as possible? And then first I thought, okay, let's record the audiobook for the Dutch translation of The Most Dangerous Superstition. But that was too slow. It was too much work. It's too ineffective. So then I thought, let's do something with crowdfunding books and then handing them out. But then if you hand them out, people maybe read it, maybe they won't, and then they just dump it somewhere, and that's it, and that's where it ends. Probably,
Right.
a lot of times, I don't know. So then I thought, why not set up a website that you can use? You have a profile there, and then you own one book, and the book ownership is linked to your profile. And as soon as you're done, as soon as you're finished with the book, either you read it or you didn't, you can pass it on. And the moment you pass it on, you create an account for another person that has a profile. And in the profile, it says where you live, not, of course, like the exact address because, yeah, privacy and all that. But I mean, the city.
So they can track you down.
Exactly. We're creating the database. This is the list. No, imagine then being able to find a group of people in your city that understand these ideas very easily. There's Facebook, but I think a website that is really focused on this with some more functionalities, of course. This is really very simply put, but yeah. I think one of the essential things that I missed right now in the description was the handout process. So how do we get the books into circulation in the first, maybe I get like 1,000 books, 1,000 copies with crowdfunded money. How do I get these books to the people initially? So then I thought, I contacted Larkin and I told him about this idea, and he started writing, and he produced this audio clip. I forgot the name, but he had this video contest that he did for this audio clip. I think Amanda
Ruckwitz.
Yeah, she did she recorded the audio for it.
Yeah, right.
The idea was to have audio that people you would blast it through a bullhorn in the street, and I think Larkin tried to write it in such a way that every passing person, every person that walked by, could pick up like 2 or 3 sentences and then immediately be drawn to the audio. So it's not like a large story. Of course, it is in the broadly speaking, but also all the bits are interesting or catchy enough in and of themselves. So every couple of sentences is like a small bit. And then if people are interested and they come up to you, you tell them a little bit about the project. Maybe you have a sign there that explains it in like a couple of sentences. Then you hand them over the book. And that's the idea.
So I assume the guy with the bullhorn would be right next to the guy who's telling people that Jesus is the answer and that we're all going to be dead if we don't follow Jesus. Is that you going to be next to that guy or?
Well, it's funny that you put it that way. I was planning. I am planning. I still want to do this, of course. On doing this on Dam Square in Amsterdam. Dam Square is the square that the Royal Palace is next to.
Really? Nice.
So that would exactly. So I thought that would be fun.
Cool.
But right there's also a lot of indeed these people who are just standing there like, preaching, but also like people dressed up for pictures, with tourists and all that.
I see.
Yeah.
That book, The Most Dangerous Superstition. Yeah, that was a great book. As very very pivotal in the way I saw statism and the belief in authority, and really solidified in me why the belief in authority is illegitimate. And he had great description of the Stanley Milgram experiments. And then there was another. I forgot what it was called. The other experiment, the prison experiment.
Stanford.
Stanford experiment. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, those 2 experiments are just amazing in when you realize how regular decent people who consider themselves to be moral good people can do horrific things when they feel like there's an authority figure that's taking the blame for it.
Yeah.
and people can do that and absolve themselves of responsibility. And it's just
So they think.
yeah, it's almost scary the way that happens, and then when you tell people that, well, actually, the SS soldiers from Nazi Germany had the same reasoning. I was just doing my job, following orders. Don't blame me, blame the next guy.
Yeah, and it's not a cop out, or it is. It's trying to cop out, or
yeah.
yeah, is that the way you say it?
Yeah. It's just a cop out. Yeah, basically, and the question I like to ask is from the guy at the top, let's say Obama, to the guy all the way at the bottom who's in the Middle East and is kicking down doors and is murdering people and detaining people. Who is to blame, right? Who is to blame in that whole chain of command from Obama down to the foot soldier, right? And I think everyone is to blame, although perhaps the man who's actually carrying out those orders carries a little bit more. But,
I think Mark Basile is excellent here. Mark Basile?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he has this a little clip of one of his talks where he talks about the culpable, who's more culpable,
right?
The policeman who really manifests the evil, the violence, the aggression, or the politician. And it's not to say that indeed the politician is blameless, but who's more culpable? The politician is just uttering words, really, It just tells people to do stuff.
Yeah, and what's helpful to realize, and this is also something that Larkin Rose really helped me to understand, is that power is an illusion, right? And the only reason that we think that these people have power is because we give them power by our attention, by our participation, by our tax dollars. We give them power, right? So people are like, well, you can hate the government, you can hate the politicians and the laws and the police all you want, and but then there's always going to be somebody who's going to come to power, right? And so they just think like there's always going to be this thing that power is just there and somebody's going to use it. But you have to realize, where does power come from, right? Power is not just this ethereal thing. Power is given by those people who participate in the whole thing, who give it credence, right? So the regular taxpayer in Nazi Germany who didn't want to make waves, who was just feeding his family and just wanted to work and mind his own business, he helped the Nazi regime carry out all those atrocities by his passive participation.
Yeah, what did he say? I made this meme that went crazy viral of exactly this. That Larkin Rose, he said, what was it? I'm not afraid of the Stalins and the Maos and the Hitlers.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
I don't recall the rest.
Yeah,
of it,
I'm afraid of the millions of obedient, people
who carry out their orders and pay for their empires.
Right.
I'm not afraid of some loony with a mustache, because he's not a threat if the people don't believe in authority.
Exactly. And it's so true. And we blame the wars and the drone strikes on Obama. It's like it's all his fault. That's why it's happening. It's all his fault. And we're like, no, actually, most of the bureaucrats and the underlings, it's their fault. But then it's also the people that empower them through their attention and participation. Yeah. So yes, that's why this book is really awesome, and it was a great read. I really enjoyed it, and so I think this is it's another great project that you're doing, among others. So before we go, please talk about your Agorist singularity and what you plan to do with that.
All right. Yeah. Initially, we wanted to we're still going to do it, but it's not happening quickly enough for us. We wanted to interview people for project demos who are also working on similar initiatives. So solutions and technological innovation that contribute to furthering this cause of agorism, to really enabling people to practice agorism. But then, it wasn't it was just too slow. We couldn't get enough interviews going. So then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to create the videos myself. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to write the episodes, and I'm going to record myself talking about these solutions. So the idea is that I'm writing the episodes already. I got a list of topics that I want to discuss. So primarily focused on technological innovation, but sometimes some philosophical ideas or just anything really that furthers agorism or relates to agorism in any way. Videos of like 5 to 10 minutes maybe. To as I described it on the Facebook page, to broaden horizons and educate people about peaceful and more effective alternatives to statism. So another project right there.
See that you're just bursting with new projects all the time, man. you put so many people to shame.
Well, we'll see where it gets, you know.
So are you one of those people that have like all these half done projects that you started but you never actually like finished, or?
No. We worked for 3 years on project demos.
Right, yeah.
We did continue that, and this
awesome.
The aquaponics stuff is getting serious now.
That's awesome.
It's still in its infancy, but yeah. And I'm working on the website is happening for Statism for Statism Exposed for the Lark and Rose book, and I'm writing the episode, so it is happening. It's
cool.
It's slow.
Awesome. Yeah. It's really great you're doing what you're doing, and hopefully we can get some more people on board that are watching this interview. So please, go to his website, go to his Facebook pages. Like them and support what he's doing. It's really awesome. And I assume you accept donations for all this stuff?
You can donate to Project Demos if you go to projectdemos.net, projectdemos.net. If you scroll to the bottom, there's a donate section right there. The rest, not really. Maybe I should.
So what are you, some kind of voluntarist Donald Trump? You're all self-funded?
I wish. No, unfortunately, no. I still have a day job too. So
yeah. In addition, and somewhere he finds time to sleep. So awesome conversation, Roman. So is there anything else you want to finish up? Like how they can find you? What's the best place to find you to learn more?
You can reach me at roman@projectdemos.net or just add me on Facebook. I mean, it's always good to have more liberty-minded individuals, connected.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my two main media.
And one thing I'd like to ask all my guests before we finish is, what is your favorite quote of all time?
What is my favorite quote? It's Richard Buckminster Fuller. And probably someone already mentioned this one on your show.
I don't think so. No? Maybe not in a while, because I don't remember. So
let me. I think I have it right here. Yeah, just to get it correct. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. I think as I used to be very angry. I used to really fight, or at least, fight the existing system and really want to. I think you could describe me at some point as a stereotypical angry anarchist kid. The stereotypes that you see with the Molotov cocktail. I never did any of that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then I came across this, and it really changed my entire mindset.
You came across the quote.
That quote, and I think there's something similar, a similar quote to this one, and they really changed my mindset. Instead of wanting to break down
the system,
try to build something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always can criticize, I think, anarchists and voluntarists for, hating on the state and politicians and laws and police and the military. And they're like, you hate all this stuff. Okay, I understand that, but what are you going to replace it with?
Yeah.
And on the one hand, I say, well, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how a voluntary society would work. It's really up to the market. For now, let's just get rid of this one lie called the belief in authority and statism. And after that, I really don't care. So on the one hand, I feel like that. But on the other hand, it's awesome doing what you're doing in that you're actually showing people ways that we can thrive despite the state, right? With this self-sustainability and with this Project Demos and finding solutions that much quicker to problems. So that's really, really awesome. And I think every business person, for the most part, does that. Like they thrive by finding solutions to problems that other people have, and they say, I have a solution, I can make your life easier.
Yeah.
And so so I guess you can say most business people do that, but yeah, so it's really awesome doing what you're doing, and I hope it takes off. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, same here. Thank you very much.
No problem. So if anybody wants to donate to my show, you can do so through Bitcoin, PayPal, or Patreon. That's patreon.com/peaceful anarchism to help me out. $1 show is all I ask. I love interviewing fascinating people like Roman here, and I would love to do more. And monetary compensation is always encouraged and appreciated, right? As capitalists, we respond to incentives, right?
Indeed.
you want to see something more of in the world, you vote with your dollars, right? It's the only democracy I support. Vote with your dollars, or you can vote with your feet, but either way, vote with your dollars. It's called, or your Bitcoin, right? Also accept Bitcoin. And you can also help me out by using the Amazon affiliate links on on my website, and making your purchases through there, and I get a small commission at no extra cost to you. Helps me do what I do as well. So because this is I do this in my free time, but free time is never free, right? According to economics, there's always opportunity costs for what we could have been doing, right? So yeah, that's always encouraged. So awesome conversation, Roman. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So this is Peaceful Anarchism on the Voluntary Virtues Network, and theseedsofliberty.com and theconsciousresistance.com. Wishing everyone to have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.